can work it out. 'Cause giving in is oh so hard, but love is at stake. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now if we only knew how, learning to love, learning to laugh and fear, learning to fight through these years that bring us closer together. Learning to love, learning the first golden rule, knowing that anything is possible. 'Cause nothing's gonna keep us from, nothing's gonna keep us from learning the ropes.
That was music to my ears. Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome back to Learning the Ropes here live on Cold TV. I'm Xlj the Og, joined by my partner in crime, my brother from another mother, Mr. B-Roll. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I am doing fine and dandy and sweet like candy. I am so excited tonight to be talking about some true royalty. When you look at the royal family, from Princess Diana to Queen Elizabeth to
King Corbin?
King Corbin.
Yeah.
What?
Baron Corbin won King of the Ring.
Wait, we're not talking about like the British royal family tonight?
Brother, this is a wrestling show. We're talking about the WWE King of the
Ah.
Ring.
Man, I don't know how. I feel like I just keep getting like mixed up lately. Like the other day, I thought we were talking about the Pacers, and I don't
Speaking
know.
of Pacers, go blue and gold, baby. We were taking game 2 tonight. Woo woo!
Let's go.
Let's
So
go.
if at about 8 o'clock at the second hour of the
You're
show,
doing this the rest of the show, I'll be like, B-roll, over here.
if we look a little distracted, you may know why. But I mean, this is Learning the Ropes. We're live. There's no better way to start it than with a little bit of a plug-a-palooza.
You're reading my mind, sir. Well, first and foremost, before we get into anything, we want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to all of our new subscribers here on Cole TV. We thank you so much for your love and support and checking out our shows. It means so much to you. I cannot stress that enough. We love you all. What we do, we love what we do, and we do it for you, the peeps. So thank you to everybody who joined us, watching us, supporting us, and so much more. And we've got
And
a
I
ton
would
more to
say, because we are on the cusp of 700 subscribers, 5 away.
come. What's his
So
name?
if you're watching right now and you have not subscribed, hey,
Okay, okay.
why don't you
Click-
do it now? You
click it with your
could be
finger.
number 7. You could be number 700.
Yes.
You don't win anything, but
Look, and Clay just comes into my shot. I love it because we're live. Say hi, Clay. Say hi to the internet.
it's
a floating
the
dog's head.
floating head.
I was wondering when something like this would happen. I knew this was going to happen at some point. You want to do the plug up producer? Huh? Yeah, Daddy loves you too, Clay. Oh my goodness gracious!
Oh.
You gotta love it. So, like I say, seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, including Clay here, he thanks you. He wants to give you virtual kisses. Yep, that's my headset, but I love you, Bubby. Hey, B-Roll, why don't you tell them where you get some of our sweet, sweet merch? You just want to tell us where the merch is.
Definitely. I can definitely tell the good people you can head on over to Pro Wrestling Tees, where you can get 6 shirts like this of Macho
Yes.
Man. But not only that, you can get Cole TV merch as well. We have
That's
a
right.
PW60 shirt, which is our other show that we do weekly on Mondays at 7 o'clock, sometimes live, sometimes not. It just depends on the week and what's going down. This week will be live because there's pay-per-views.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's pay-per-views. We got so much. Of course, as you all know, we're talking about King of the Ring tonight. The King and Queen of the Ring takes place this Saturday from Saudi Arabia. And of course, Sunday night, AEW presents Double or Nothing. It is a stacked and loaded weekend. But you know what? It's also going to be a stacked and loaded week next week on Cole TV because it's our Memorial Day extravaganza. I couldn't resist. Had to do it. That's right. So next week here on Cole TV, we have got a full week of incredible content lined up for you. And here's the cool part: you're not going to get to see one, but two wrestling vlogs. That's right. So we're going to kick it off, of course, on Monday with a live episode of Pro Wrestling 60. Of course, recapping everything that happened this past week, including talking about this amazing weekend that lies ahead with King and Queen of the Ring and Double or Nothing. Also, we're going to have a blah, 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 blah. Sorry, we're live, pal. We're also going to have a vlog from when I got to visit the Wrestling Legends reunion, where we were had a table there and was meeting some amazing people. Some of you who maybe even be watching tonight, we met there at the Legends Wrestling reunion there in Evansville. We're going to have a vlog on that. Also, we're going to have a vlog from the woman's show that Jay and I got to attend, as well as Jay's going to be, of course, on our vlog for the Legends reunion. But Hooligan Championship Wrestling presents Ascension to the Kingdom. It was an awesome all-female show. We'll have a vlog on that. And then we pulled double duty. While I was in Evansville, you were back here in our hometown, and you got to check out one Emerge Championship Wrestling. Why don't you tell us all about that?
Yes, I did. I was able to check out Emerge, which is our local promotion. They put on their show, Whatever May Come. See what they did there. It was their May show, so they made a pun out of the month of May, Whatever May Come. It did include a no disqualification match.
Whoa.
Yeah, I sat second row. I got to see somebody go through a table.
Whoa.
And what was super cool was I got to take my nephew with me. And when they did the table spot, there was the camera guy. He grabbed a couple small pieces of the table and stuff and was throwing it to like the kids and stuff. So my nephew got a piece of the table, so that was pretty cool.
I was a badass. Nice. I remember when I got my first table. I was 37. Anyways, but we got a star-studded lineup, and we may have one more thing for you, but we're not going to advertise it because we don't know if it's going to be coming then. But as I always say, card subject to change. But still, we have an amazing week lined up for you next week here in Cole TV, as it's our Memorial Day week extravaganza.
There it is.
I think I'm just going to do the show the rest of this way. Hello. Is anybody out there?
Where's the floating head again? We need the floating head again.
Oh, he finally laid down, thankfully. So, okay, Daddy loves you. Well, we have a very special guest join us here tonight. He'll be joining us here in just a few moments. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. We'll be getting the wrestling encyclopedia himself in here with us, one Michael J. Duplesis, because he will be able to help us do this deep, deep dive on the King of the Ring tournament. First off, B-Roll, let me ask you this. As a pro wrestling newbie, can you tell me what you truly know about the King of the Ring?
Not a whole lot. I do know some people that have won it.
Good night. We're done, folks. No.
And let's see. I do know that that's where Stone Cold Steve Austin did his Austin 316 thing and everything.
Yeah.
I know some of the people have won it. I know here in more recent time, there's been some stupid gimmicks with it.
Oh, yeah. And throughout the years, which we're going to talk about all that here tonight on Learning the Ropes. But
that's what I know.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this, I think because back in the day, King of the Ring was part of it was the Big Four for years. And then in 1993, WWF at the time added a fifth pay-per-view. Thus, the King of the Ring was born. And then the Big Four became the Big Five. So King of the Ring's kind of had that's always this special, I think, place, at least in my heart, especially for us old heads. And the thing is, with the King of the Ring, especially back in the day, it was it was a big deal if you won King of the Ring. This was I would say B-roll, it's like the equivalent of like winning the Intercontinental title, where it's just like, okay, this is going to be the next top guy, the top dog here in the WWF or the WWE. So, I mean, it was kind of built up to be like this plateau, if you will, to just kind of a launching point for for professional wrestlers to kind of go into the next, the next big thing.
Mhm.
But here's the crazy thing, and we'll get right into it here. Here's the crazy thing about all this. What a lot of people don't realize is that the King of the Ring tournament has actually been around since 1985.
Wow,
Did you
that's
know?
older than me.
Yeah. So believe it or not, the King of the Ring actually started as part of like house shows. So they would have like they would have, on a house show they do like a 16-man elimination tournament, one night tournament, and they do it once a year. Now the first two King of the Rings were actually held in Foxborough, Massachusetts, and then the following 4 King of the Rings after that was held in Providence, Rhode Island. Now, Mr. B-roll, do you know who the very first King of the Ring is?
Real quick, I'm gonna say screw Foxborough and screw the Patriots because they suck. I hate the Patriots because I'm a
Fair
Colts
enough.
fan.
Fair enough. Even though that's a Macho Man shirt. But yeah. I don't know what that has to do with the Colts, but okay.
Didn't Macho Man win the first one?
Oh, okay. I didn't know where you were going with that. I thought we were still talking about the Colts. No, believe it or not, the winner of the very first King of the Ring was The Rock. Don Morocco. That's right. Don Morocco won the very first. You see what I did there? Won the very first King of the Ring tournament as he defeated the Iron Sheik in the final. Sheiky baby. R.I.P. baby. So Don Morocco was the very first recipient of the King of the Ring. Now, back then, they didn't really like it wasn't like like what they've done in years past. It's just like, okay, you win the tournament, handshake and a hot dog for you, and a couple extra $100 on your paycheck. Yay. Now, following that in 1986, listen to this epic final. It was Pedro Morales against one Harley Race. And of course, Harley Race would go on and win the tournament and become the King of the Ring. Now, Harley Race was the first ever recipient of the King of the Ring to actually turn it into his gimmick, as Harley Race would then become King Harley Race. And of course, at this point in time, Harley Race, well known as one of the all-time greats, a former 7-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So, like his stint there in the WWF, he actually did win the King of the Ring. And like we said, we got a very special guest joining us. Let's bring in the wrestling encyclopedia himself, with Michael J. Duplesis. How you doing, bro?
My laptop just out of nowhere restarted on me.
Like an RKO, bro. It's all good.
That
Out
was
of nowhere.
bullshit.
That's all right, man. We got you back with us, so it's all good. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Learning the Ropes. So we were just kind of going over the early days of the King of the Ring tournament, how it was originally on house shows.
Yes.
We were just talking about Harley Race winning the second edition of the King of the Ring. And of course, he ended up turning that into a gimmick there in the WWF. The first real person to actually utilize winning that tournament and turning it into a gimmick. And I mean, kudos to Harley too, because I mean, Harley, Harley well established. We all know Harley. I mean, one of the all-time greats, former 7-time world champion.
Speaking
now
of
working
Harley,
in the WWF. Yeah.
Out of context, but the other day I finally watched the Iron Claw for the first time.
Oh, okay. Let's get your thoughts on that.
Phenomenal movie. Made me cry multiple times. And honestly, the only person I think out of the Von Erich family that did well, casting-wise, was Harley. I loved that Harley Race.
I agree. The actor they cast as Harley Race was amazing.
Yes.
Ric Flair, not so much.
The Ric Flair was trash.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I will say
this, kudos to Ryan Nemeth for playing Gino Hernandez. That was kind of cool.
Is that who that was?
Yeah, that was Ryan Nemeth. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
In that short stint with MJF, that was cool.
The other one I will say, I did like who they got to the Freebirds, and especially Silas Mason playing like Terry Gordy. Holy shit! Like I was just like, okay, he had the facial, the mannerisms, and everything down, dude.
Freebirds were great. I love that they got Kevin's sons in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Harley race was nominal. Since we are speaking of Harley, that was real. He was really good.
Yeah, I 1000% agree with that, my friend. But of course, Harley would go on, like we say, to kind of utilize the gimmick of the King of the Ring, and that's kind of like King of the Ring would develop into like a gimmick to where it was like if you beat so and so, then you become the king. It wasn't so much like it was a title, but it wasn't a title. I think is the best way to describe it, right, Mike?
Yeah, gimmick you used for that year. Just you got to claim it because I mean, yeah, you had great. Those the list of the winners before they turned it into a pay-per-view in '92 is a list of phenomenal talent.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
Bronco, Harley Race, Randy, Teddy, Tito Ortiz,
Tito Santana. Yep. So while Harley was technically the king of the WWF, the Macho Man Randy Savage would win the third tournament there in 1987, now coming from Providence, Rhode Island. And in the finals, believe it or not, B-roll, he beat one King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
Now the next year, interesting enough, in 1988, it was a role reversal from the WrestleMania 4 championship tournament as the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase beat Randy Savage to claim the throne of King of the Ring that year. And then 1989 was an interesting one too, because the finals came down to former tag team partners in Strike Force when Tito Santana and Rick Martel. And
that's a phenomenal match.
Yeah, it really is. Anytime Tito and Rick got together was always awesome, man. But yeah, it is a pretty cool match. I think you can find it still on Peacock. If not, you can find it on YouTube for sure.
That's where I last saw was YouTube.
Yeah. I'm 100% positive you can find it here on YouTube. So, but that was an amazing matchup. Now they skipped it in 1990, but Bret Hart would win it in 1991 as he would defeat one Erwin R. Shyster in the finals.
Real quick.
In 92. Yes.
Do you know why they skipped it in 1990?
Not really. No, I don't think I think it was just kind of like.
Well, let me tell you why. I may be the pro wrestling newbie, but I do have this knowledge. I was born in 1990, so they knew a king had already been born. So
that's
bada bing, bada boom. I won the King of the Ring in 1990.
There's brown coming out of your eyes right now. Just FYI, it's getting pretty thick in here.
You should have saw that coming.
Yes, we should have saw that coming.
I'll be here till 9:00.
Oh dear God. All right. So those were pretty much the history of like the house shows. Now, I kind of want to step back there a minute though, because we talked about the gimmicks, because there were other kings in the WWF who didn't even win the King of the Ring tournament. Now, going back to like Harley Race, around 1989, like Harley was still using that gimmick, but I believe Harley was injured at the time, stopped using it. But a member of the Heenan family would take the mantle.
My favorite king of the WWF. I fucking love
Haku. Because is anybody really gonna fuck with Haku saying, "Hey, I'm the king now"? Nope. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
They had
You're the king, sir.
For this man. He just like, I'm taking Harley's gimmick. Nobody's gonna fuck with me.
And even the badass Harley Race is just kind of like, all right, like, and they had a match too at the 1989 Royal Rumble as well.
Yeah.
Which was fun. But Haku would take the mantle of King of the Ring.
He became like the face of the Heenan family.
Yeah. This is It's funny too because this was during a time when you had Ravishing Rick Rude was your Intercontinental Champion, and you had Andre the Giant as part of the Heenan family, and it's just kind of like, okay, here's
and
King
this was
Haku.
even around the time where like they did the tag match at Mania. Haku and Andre lose. Andre turns babyface because he's tired of Heenan getting in his face.
But that Haku from like 89 to 90, because like he goes out of the tag team with the Islanders and just like, man, I love Haku. Oh, one of the all-time greats.
Scary bastard.
Now, Haku would lose the title, though, of King of the Ring in 1989 to one Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Yes, Hacksaw Jim Duggan was King of the Ring, or King Duggan, as he was called. And it was ridiculous, bro. Like, you should have seen it. Like, he would walk around with the crown and the cape. He even had, like, a little crown and cape for the 2x4 and stuff. It was adorable.
Yeah. It was a weird thing where they took that year's King of the Ring and they just kind of hot potatoed it between those three wrestlers. It's like, this is interesting.
And then from there, the Hacksaw Jim Duggan would drop it to the man on your shirt, Mr. B-Roll, one Macho Man, and he would really kind of like take the ball and run with it. I think the furthest out of any of these guys, with no disrespect, but he would become the Macho King, Randy Savage. And held that mantle for over a year until he lost his retirement match to the Ultimate Warrior there at WrestleMania 7. But I think out of all those guys did awesome. But to me, like the Macho Man just like put it up and over the top. Like
easily.
Like
he
made. Oh my God, it was so good. Douchebag
heel.
It's Macho.
And you got to talk about one Queen Sherry as well, right there by his side. So the two of those, man. Oh my gosh.
He pushes Elizabeth to the side. He gets Sherry, and it just.
He's the king. Like, yeah. That's that. Thank God that was like his reward for having to team with Seuss for half a year, pretty much. Well, at least we'll make you the king. Poor Mach.
We be nice to Tiny Lister.
I was gonna say R.I.P. Tommy Tiny Lister. You know,
because he could kill us even in the grave.
This is true.
I don't want you. I
don't want you taking my bike, Devo. Come on now.
Yeah, I was like, we gotta be nice to Devo because I don't need $200 stolen from me.
Yeah.
I literally just watched that yesterday.
Oh, such a great fucking movie. Like, oh, it's so good. So that's pretty much kind of like the King of the Rings up until 1993. Now, 1993 is when they decided to go ahead and the pay-per-view was created itself. Which I kind of want to ask you. We talked about this a little bit before, Mike, but now we got you in here. What were your thoughts on like the whole concept of King of the Ring back in the day? Like
phenomenal. It's a great concept.
Yeah, because like we were talking about is like King of the Ring back in the day was like that stepping stone for your next wrestler to do your next big thing. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be the next guy.
Yeah, they usually became an IC or even the WWF champion.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was kind of what's happening today with that announcement with Triple H.
Yeah, I was gonna say, huge announcement today. So it was announced today. If you don't know, it was announced today that the winners of the King and Queen of the Ring will be getting a championship title match at SummerSlam in a whatever brand they are on. So whether it's a Raw person who gets a shot at the world title, or on the SmackDown brand, you get a shot at the WWE championship.
Yeah.
Vice versa on the women's as well. So that's gonna be interesting.
He's making King of the Ring actually mean something.
Yeah, and it's leading to something I think very, very interesting. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So, but let's talk about the very first King of the Ring pay-per-view, the 1993 King of the Ring tournament. Now, in my opinion, I think the reason that WWF decided to let's add a fifth pay-per-view and do this King of the Ring, it was mainly like, Brett, I'm sorry, we fucked up big time. So this is what we're gonna give you next. Because essentially, if you look at it, the 1993 King of the Ring was built around Bret Hart. I mean, completely
Because
fucked
Mania
over at
was
WrestleMania
trash.
9. Yeah, fucked over by Hulk Hogan. Fuck you, Terry. With the whole Yokozuna thing, and then like
Coke
fucking him.
going in for business for himself. He's a
Yep.
douchebag. Terry Bollea, I can't wait to punch you in the face one day.
I'll fucking be there for it, and I'll hold him down for you, bro. Like
God.
just fucking.
I want you.
wail on
I
it.
want you. I want you to like run over him, like run over his toes. Come on.
I'm going to run over his feet so he can't move, and then Superman punch him like I'm fucking Roman Reigns.
All the while you do it, he's gonna tell you, brother, these are the same shoes I wore when I slammed Andre the Giant in 1987, and he died
God.
7 days later. And keep in mind, he's wearing a pair of shitty Crocs too. Just throwing that out there.
Fucking, he's gonna
Fuck
fucking
Terry.
talk about how we got a text message from a dead wrestler 2 days after they died.
Remember when he thought Bam Margera was dead? Ah, fuck Hulk Hogan. We could go on and on talking about fuck you, Terry, but that's not what this show's about. We're talking King of the Ring. So the 1990, like I say, 1993 King of the Ring, really kind of introduced for like, okay, I'm sorry, Brett, you're still our top guy, so we're gonna give this to you. And that tournament, if you go back and watch it, whether you love Brett, you hate Brett, if you look at the series of matches, he wrestles 3 different styles in each
Phenomenal.
match. It's incredible.
Like I hate Brett, but those are some good matches that night.
Oh my God. So you started off wrestling Razor Ramon in the opening round, which
The
Brett
opening
and
match
Razor.
of the show.
Oh yeah.
was great.
What a way to set the
opening.
tone too.
Yeah.
An incredible matchup. And those guys always had amazing chemistry. And then you fast forward to the second round, and it's like, holy shit. You get Bret Hart against Mr. Perfect in the semifinals, and is what is a technical masterpiece. Everybody loves, myself included, and loves the SummerSlam 91 matchup. But there's a lot of people out there, and I think Bret himself will tell you this, that they love the 1993 King of the Ring semifinals matchup better.
Oh, I do. I definitely do. And I think what makes it even better is the interview beforehand.
Yeah.
Where Gene Okerlund's trying to, like, they're friends, but Gene Okerlund's
Because they're both baby faces at this point. Yeah.
Gene Okerlund's trying to get him to squabble, and he's like, trying to tell Perfect that Brett was over there talking shit.
Yeah.
Gene, you're a troublemaker, and I love it.
But they wrestled an all-time technical masterpiece. Of course, Brett advancing to the finals, and in the finals, he would meet one Bam Bam Bigelow. But before we talk about that, let's just kind of break down the whole tournament itself. So in the first round of action, you had Bret Hart defeating Razor Ramon. In the other matchup, you had Mr. Perfect defeating one Mr. Hughes, which I always thought as a kid was weird. It was like, why who? Mr. Hughes? I remember him in WCW. Why is Big Cat now all of a sudden in fucking WWF? But anyways, and he's with Harvey Whippleman.
Mr. Hughes is one of those guys. He was like big bodied, had the look, but he wrestled in all 3 big shows or big companies in the 90s and never can get his footing. Kind of felt bad for the man.
Wait, you know what though? He was a phenomenal utility player. I mean, he could sell like no other. He moved around that ring. It was nuts, man, how good he was in the ring.
He was a bodyguard in ECW. He came back in '99 as Jericho's bodyguard.
Yep. Also was in '97. Had a brief run with Triple H too.
Oh yeah, forgot about that run.
But Mr. Perfect would defeat Mr. Hughes to advance. Then Bam Bam Bigelow would defeat one Hacksaw Jim Duggan to advance into the next round. And then in the final first round matchup, you had the undefeated Tatanka go up against the narcissist Lex Luger, which was actually a pretty fun match. I always liked Tatanka Luger matches, believe it or not. I thought they were decent. Of course, this match ends up going the time limit, and thus Bam Bam Bigelow earning a bye into the finals. So here's the story. You have Bret Hart, who's wrestled 2 grueling matchups and 2 different style matchups, and now he's got to go against this killer, this fresh beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow. And I gotta say, man, I wish there were more matches we saw on TV with Bam Bam Bigelow and Bret Hart, because fuck, this is a good matchup. It is a great final. Bam Bam, we've talked about on the show before. Bam Bam is one of the greatest workers of all time. One of the greatest big men of all time.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
Should be in the Hall of Fame, first ballot. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And just the matchup that these two had, dude, it was freaking awesome. And there for a minute, you thought Bam Bam was going to win the tournament, actually.
I would,
Yeah. And I also, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mike, but I think this was also the time first time we were introduced to Luna Fashawn being Bam Bam
Yes.
Bigelow's main squeeze.
Yes, this was around the time Luna Count comes in.
Yeah, so she kind of comes out, causes interference. The referees, like, they reverse the decision. Then it's like, no, the match continues, and they go on for like another 5 or 10 minutes and just have this awesome matchup that's back and forth. And also, I'm going to point out too, Bret Hart won each one of these matchups with a different type of variation of pin. Like, didn't win him with the sharpshooter. He won them all differently. Like, the finish of this one's awesome too. It's this badass like victory roll Bret does too.
Oh yeah, the victory row is amazing in that match.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then of course Bret goes on and wins the King of the Ring tournament. Now at the end of the show, though, however, as Bret is celebrating, we get one Jerry the King Lawler who comes out to dispute Bret Hart's claim as the king, and thus you get the kickoff of what I think is personally one of my favorite rivalries of all time between Jerry the King Lawler and Bret the Hitman Hart.
That rivalry confuses me because they started off with Bret and Jerry. Then Jerry gets into trouble, so they have to shoot it off to Bret
Shawn.
and oh god, who did Bret feud with?
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Shawn. And it was just like Jerry did all those things talking about Bret's family, and then like Jerry had to leave for a while because of legal troubles. And they're like, no, Shawn said all those things. It's like,
yeah,
no,
it was '93. It was a confusing time, but and the thing is, they picked what's weirdly weird. You thought they would have picked it up when Jerry got back. But I think obviously there was other plans for Bret, is why that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But then they pick it back up in '95, the rivalry between Jerry Lawler.
He comes back in the middle of that Owen rivalry. So it's like they can't really just break up the Owen rivalry.
Yeah, because that's got the story. You got to tell that.
Yeah.
So yeah. But a great launching point too, and a great way to end this show too as well. I mean, you get to see like this awesome like triumph at Bret Hart, and then just jerk Jerry Lawler coming in, and then like everybody's now hating on the King, man. Because at the time, Bret Hart was the most popular wrestler in the WWF when he won the King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Still a lot of fans pissed off that he lost that WWF championship, but they rectified a wrong in having Bret win the tournament. They also rectified another wrong on this pay-per-view as well, as Yokozuna would defeat Hulk Hogan to win back the WWF Championship. Thank God. You know, he should have never lost the damn thing.
Last time we see Hulk.
And that's the best part. We don't see that fucking asshole for another 10 years in the WWF pretty much. So, yeah.
You don't see him for another year unless you turn in the,
Well, WCW, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying in the World Wrestling Federation, we don't see him for a long ass time. It is wonderful. It was great. I love the fucking new generation, man, and the Attitude Era. And the best part is because fucking Terry Bollea wasn't there. Giddy up. Anyways,
Can you picture how different the Attitude Era would be?
Oh,
if Hulk
fuck.
was in the WWF?
oh fuck, it would have God. Hulk Hogan in the WWF, and then I don't even want to think about it, bro. It's so
I
depressing.
don't know why that popped in my head. I was like, that would have been a weird what if.
That would have fucking sucked, I think. But anyways, and it worked out for Hogan because
like, yeah, it'd been like this like vortex of a fun sucker would have been like right there in the middle.
It
Like,
might have actually would have gone a Hulk Hogan Stone Cold match.
not gonna
It's
work
okay.
for me,
I'm good.
brother.
I'm good. I don't need it. I'm good.
You're
You're right. I get what you're saying, but yeah.
I
I mean, it worked out for Hogan too, because he'd go on to, be Hollywood Hogan and stuff. Could he have turned heel in the WWF? Sure, but you know what? I really wouldn't have given a shit. So fuck Hulk Hogan. Enough of talking about that piece of shit. But yes, so Yokozuna would win the WWF Championship on this show. Also, you'd have a couple other fun matchups. You had Shawn Michaels successfully retain his Intercontinental Championship against Crush. Of course, with the help of a couple doinks, because that was still a thing going on. The doinks. Your favorite, bro, the clown, yeah. And this is when it was like evil doink, who's gonna come underneath your bed and
Yeah,
like
no, that was
scare
the
the
end
shit
of-
out of you.
That was like the end of the Matt Bourne era.
This is like Matt Bourne coked out underneath your bed, bro. He's gonna come and get you.
Because the second doik was Steve Kern.
Yep. Yep. But and
Uh,
also you had it. It's okay, bro. We're done talking about the clown. You're good.
Okay.
You're not a fan of the doink?
He's not a fan of clowns. So yeah.
You're not.
yeah.
I'm also not a fan of
Yeah,
clowns. Warren wasn't for a
Well,
long
see,
time.
and Mike's okay with watching Doink the Clown. You can be too, bro.
Actually, I'm not, because that was a. They put great wrestlers in that trash gimmick.
Yeah.
Clowns are creepy.
You know how weirdly it is to watch a young Raws, and it's a weird ass clown having great technical matches.
It's true. And quick shout out to, of course, you can see that every week over on World Championship Wreckage, where Michael and Bree and Husky take part in Queen's Court. Yeah. But yeah, so 93 King of the Ring. Oh, there was an 8-man tag with the Head Shrinkers and Money Inc. against the Steiners and the Smoking Guns.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. But fun show, I thought overall. Like the King of the Ring tournament's what made it, of course. But I think it's fascinating because it sets the pace for the next year. So the 94 King of the Ring comes around.
I prefer this one.
It's a good one. 94 is it's better. Okay, I think the 93 tournament's slightly better than 94. Slightly. I don't know. You could flip a coin, honestly. They're that close. But
we get my favorite Owen in this tournament.
Yeah. So let's run down the 94 tournament here. So in the first round, we got Razor Ramon defeating Bam Bam Bigelow to advance, which was a fun matchup too. Great opener too, by the way. Then you have Erwin R. Shyster, IRS, defeat Mabel to advance to the next round. Then we have 1-2-3 Kid kind of upset Jeff Jarrett to advance into the next round because it's the 1-2-3 Kid, man. That was his thing. And then it's cool because you get Jeff Jarrett attacks the Kid and it kind of sets up the Kid for like his next matchup. And in the last matchup, we saw Owen Hart defeat Tatanka to advance to the next round. So now we have Razor Ramon against IRS, who knew each other very well, had a rivalry beforehand.
They had a great rivalry.
They did. They really did for the IC title. Yeah. And then, of course, Razor would defeat IRS to advance to the finals, where Owen Hart would defeat a kind of like a crippled, if you will, 1-2-3 Kid. He was beat down by Jeff Jarrett, so he wasn't quite, up to par. Let's put it that way. And in the finals, you have Owen Hart against Razor Ramon, an incredible matchup. But then you get the big swerve, the big turn, if you will, as when Jim the Anvil Neidhart would come down to ringside and would actually help Owen Hart win the King of the Ring tournament. Now, this is where it gets very important, Mr. B-Roll, because after the tournament, here you have Owen Hart, who's in this huge rivalry with his brother Brett. Super jealous because Brett's the WWF champion at the time, right? And then now Owen Hart, just like his big brother the year before, now he is the King of the Ring. And he goes on to proclaim that not only is he the King of the Ring, he's the King of Hearts. That's right. And thus the King of Hearts is born. 94 was an awesome one, dude. The tournament was great. Owen winning was awesome. It was like a perfect. I don't think you get any two greater back-to-back winners than 93 to 94 with Brett and Owen Hart, man. And the story that they told there, it was just awesome.
Unless you talk 96, 97.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. I think from a storyline perspective.
The way that storyline built between the brothers, yes. No, it was a great way to connect the whole year-long like rivalry between the Hearts.
Yeah, 110% agree, my friend. Now, the rest of the pay-per-view isn't too bad. I didn't think I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I know you guys did a watch-along on it not too long ago on Wreckage.
Yeah.
So you also have at the time, it was champion versus champion. Kind of kicked off their rivalry, which I actually enjoyed. You have your WWF champion at the time, Bret the Hitman Hart, going up against the Intercontinental champion, who was red hot at this point, Diesel. So you have the first encounter between Kevin Nash and Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And it does end up like Diesel wins, but by disqualification because at the time, Diesel had Shawn in his corner, and Bret said he was going to have a family member of his.
Yeah,
and thus
he brought in Jim.
Jim, his tag team
Jim
partner, Jim
helps
the
him
Amble.
win, but but his plan is, okay, I help Bret keep his title so Owen can take it.
Yep. And thus we get the swerve, and then you have this family divide that is a huge storyline for the rest of the year,
It's
1994.
not an equal divide because it's Owen and Jim versus
Against
the
the
rest
whole
of the family.
Hart family, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
It's a
Pretty
coked
much.
up Jim Danville. By the way, a coked up Jim Danville Neidhart because he was on all the white snow at this time.
Dude, at SummerSlam, after like you remember when he jumps about, like gets out of the cage, and then like they're
Yes.
Bob Beckingall's interviewing, he's just like, "That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave you in that goddamn ring." It's just like, shit, this is '94, bro. Calm the fuck down, brother.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Anvil was on all the snow in the early 90s.
R.I.P. Jim the Amble Neidhart. Love you, buddy.
I'm sorry to tell you, I don't mean to talk ill of your dad, but yeah, damn.
Yeah, Natty, sorry. But we still love him. Yeah, doing this. I think there's a really fun tag match on this one too for the tag titles. Is you've got the Head Shrinkers defending their WWF tag titles against Crush and Yokozuna.
Yes.
And this it's kind of interesting how Yokozuna, this is kind of the first thing they do with Yoko after he lost the WWF championship. They formed this tag team with Crush.
Yeah. It's the original Camp Cornette.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, when you think
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, it
It's
really is.
him. It's a faction of him, Crush, the Heavenly Bodies.
Yeah. And then in the early 90s, if you look at, they briefly brought in oh god, I can't think of his name. The great Japanese wrestler. Kabuki was one, but I'm trying to Tenru.
Yeah,
They had them in there for a little while too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Fun times. And then in the main event of this show, a lot of people fucking hate this match. I understand why, but I thought it was okay for what it was because it was just like, it was promos driven, but they had Roddy Piper returning
Oh, I hate this match.
against Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah. This should have opened the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch the interviews or the promos leading up to this match, they're wild.
They're great. That's what made it.
Piper is, again, I think on all the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Those promos walking around Portland are crazy.
Yeah, it's some weird, wild stuff, kids. But 94 King of the Ring, I thought was like a slight improvement on 93, I would say. Both are fun shows. But 1995. Let's talk about. Hold on a second. 1995 is by far where you have the. I can't say it with a straight face. This is the worst fucking King of the Ring ever. Fuck me. This is the drizzling shit.
We're finally getting a stinker.
Oh, it's beyond a stinker. It's probably. And it's weird. I don't think enough people talk about it because it's just like it's out of sight, out of mind how fucking bad this show was. The 95 King of the Ring is. Mike, is there anything redeemable on this fucking show, though?
Not one bit. And no offense, and I know he's passed. I'm nice as possible.
Worst King of the Ring of all time.
But Nelson Frazier was one of the worst talents in the ring. Mabel, Viscera.
I don't know if I would go as far as to say he was one of the worst King of the Ring, but I don't know. Like I think he had some moments.
History, you watch shoot interviews about the men he hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
Kevin Nash said he.
Went on a mission, bro. Went on a mission because I wanted to throw my hands in the air and wave them just like I don't care. Okay.
It was a great gimmick, but
Mabel hurts.
Kevin Nash, he broke Kevin Nash's back.
Yep.
He broke The Undertaker's face.
Yeah.
He hurt both the Samoans.
Yeah.
Which, when you actually injure a Samoan, because they're tough as shit, you know you fucked up.
Yeah.
On I watch Mark Calloway's YouTube channel. I love Undertaker's YouTube channel. Undertaker went on record saying he put this right in the Ministry of Darkness, so he never had to face him again.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to wear that damn face mask ever again, bro. But the
When
Phantom of the
you're-
Opera face mask was pretty dope.
When you're put in a faction, not because you're good, but because the other men don't want to get in the ring with you, you know there's something wrong.
Yeah, it's not good, bro.
And again, this is RIP. No disrespect to a dead
Yeah,
man,
no disrespect.
but this is all facts that are out there in the public eye.
Okay, I will say this. Now, okay, this is a stretch, but there may be 3 redeeming things about this show. First and foremost, I think what to me is the most memorable, I think, besides how fucking bad it was, the crowd. Because this takes place in Philadelphia, and B-roll, this is at the height of like ECW launching off. As a matter of fact, I think it's even been on record too. This is when Vince really first like heard it was like, what is this ECW?
He says it was right before they did the In Your House in '96.
Which ECW had a presence
Yeah.
on it, but this is the first time where he's just like, okay, what
Yeah.
is ECW thing they're talking about?
Yeah.
So there's that. You do get a continuation of the Bret Hart Jerry Lawler rivalry. But
Yes,
the third thing I would say, there is actually a hidden gem match on this show that is pretty damn good. And I'm amazed they didn't work with each other more often. It's in the tournament. It's Shawn Michaels against Kama, aka the Godfather, aka
Yes.
Papa Shango, aka whatever you want to call him.
Because Kama, he was part of the
$1 Million Corporation.
Yeah.
They have a tremendous matchup. So here, let's just break down the tournament.
That was the best thing going in '95 is that faction.
$1 Million Corporation? Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the $1 Million Corporation. I thought they were fun in 94 to 95, yeah. So the way the tournament breaks down, actually, Razor Ramon was supposed to be in it, but was hurt. So they had to qualify an alternate. So before the show goes on pay-per-view, they have a matchup between IRS and Savio Vega. Savio Vega, who at the time was Razor's tag team partner and buddy. I guess that'd be the 4th redeeming thing on this show is Savio Vega's run, because he would. This was kind of like his story up until the finals.
He had a really good run in the WWF. I don't know why they never did more with him.
Yeah, because he was a real great utility player too, man, and especially in like 95, 96, you know.
And he was talented and over.
Oh yeah.
In other countries, I mean.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Puerto Rican legend.
Oh yeah. So you have Savio Vega face Yokozuna in the first round of the tournament, and Savio Vega would upset Yokozuna to advance into the next round. Then from there you have the Road Dogg Jesse James against Bob Sparkplug Holly. Now, B-roll, this isn't the Bob Holly and Road Dogg you know, my friend. This is like Road Dogg, who is the assistant to Jeff Jarrett, who at the time he really had. Yeah, he's the roadie. It's the roadie.
Yeah.
And he would go against. This isn't Hardcore Holly. This is the race car driver.
I love Sparkplug.
I love Sparkplug too. He doesn't get enough credit, dude.
The occupational gimmicks in '94 and '95.
Oh, they're so fucking
goddamn good.
But they're yeah, it's like a guilty pleasure. Like,
so I mean, so to be honest, at first I thought you didn't say spark plug. I thought you said butt plug. So
you wrote mine in the gutter, and I love it.
Sparky Plug, bro, not
Spark Plug.
Come on.
So
bro.
Bob Holly was actually a NASCAR, well, not NASCAR, but he was a car driver.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Jim Cornette, like, hey, you have a good physical look. You should start wrestling. So he started wrestling for Smoky Mountain.
Yep. And then next thing you know, he ends up in the WWF in '94. So
You know what his gimmick was in Smoky Mountain? It's literally my favorite thing in the world.
I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember. I know he was in there, but I don't
He
remember
was
what his
a
gimmick
Ric
was.
Flair ripoff.
Oh, like a Nature Boy or something?
Yeah, Hollywood Bob Holly.
Oh, that's
From
right.
Hollywood, Alabama, or Mississippi.
Yeah. God. And then this is the same man who would go on to be like one of the biggest badasses in wrestling.
Yes.
You would be too, damn it, if you had shit gimmicks to start off your career, bro.
Yeah. Hollywood Bob Holly is literally my favorite thing to bring up. They're like wrestling fans. Hey, you know about this?
So, of course, the roadie would advance. And then, as I mentioned, we had Shawn Michaels and Kama, which ended up going to a draw. So then it was the last matchup was The Undertaker against Mabel. And of course, yes, Mabel would win to advance to the finals. And so literally your last three in this tournament, this is how you know this tournament was fucked this year. So it's like, okay, either Mabel, the roadie, or Savio Vega. No disrespect to Savio Vega,
Yeah.
but either one of those
Bobby
three
was
is going to win.
definitely the best out of those three.
Oh, 100%,
And
bro.
no offense to Road Dogg, because he became a great star, but the roadie gimmick was
We didn't know any shit about him, really. It was
Yeah.
just he was just their second. So of course, Savio Vega would defeat the roadie to advance. So at this point, Savio Vega had won 3 matches this night, whereas Mabel's only wrestled the one time. So you have, and they kind of the way they tried to play it up with Savio Vega in this tournament, because they're in Philly, is like, you know, Rocky like, you know, this Rocky like run, you know, this ultimate underdog run. Of course, Mabel would defeat Savio Vega and thus cement his legacy as the worst fucking king of the ring ever. I'm sorry, but man, it was the drizzling shits.
Yeah.
So now we have King Mabel is born. And he would, and this is like where we really start to see where some of these wrestlers personify like the king persona and like use it into their gimmick, you know, and Mabel was one of those.
Heel shortly
Turn
after
heel. Because Mabel, you got to keep in mind at this time had pretty much been in a tag team most of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
he turned heel right before this.
Yeah, because him and
Because
Oscar
Mo-
turned heel.
Yeah, because Mo wanted out the business.
Yeah. I just feel like it was one of those things where it was like, you know what? Let's try putting it on Mabel and see what happens. It didn't work, man. It didn't work. It's like
tried
Mike
for the
says, he
longest time
fucked
to
up a
make
lot
it.
of guys. Just yeah. And he had that shitty matchup at SummerSlam against Diesel. Yikes.
Where he hurt Diesel. That's where
Yeah.
he hurt Diesel.
There's a net. Yeah, dude, it's a terrifying spot. It's literally he's got him in like a camel clutch or whatever, and then they break it up, and then literally Mabel sets on Diesel's back, like, but he doesn't like do anything with his legs. He just goes flat essentially, and it's like it's nasty looking. It's terrifying.
Literally. Kevin said he was shocked that he didn't put him in a wheelchair.
Yeah, it really is. The rest of the card, not really that great. You did have like I mentioned earlier, the rivalry between Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart continuing on in a Kiss My Foot match, where Bret Hart would defeat Jerry Lawler. And here's the thing, B-roll. The build up to this was amazing because it was just like Jerry Lawler like purposely like not washed his feet for months or whatever. And there's vignettes where he's like in like a horse's like a stable and he's running around in horse shit and stuff. And it's just
I
like,
forgot about the Kiss My Foot match.
Oh, yeah.
Legit.
Now, so Bret, you know, of course Bret wins. The king has to kiss his foot. And then amazingly somehow, Bret takes Jerry's foot and rams it in Jerry's mouth. Now, what did this bring us? This brought us into the storyline and the introduction of a dentist, because we love our gimmicks. One, Isaac Yankem, DDS, who was played by, Kane.
Good.
Kane's first WWF gimmick was he was a fucking demented dentist.
Yes.
There you go. And now he's a demented mayor. I said what I said. Anyways.
Facts.
And now the main event of this show is fucking awful too. It's a tag match with Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow against Tatanka and Psycho Sid.
Oh, yeah.
Forgettable. Now, here's the amazing thing. Go 1 year later to 96, and I'm going to go ahead and say I think 1996 King of the Ring is the best King of the Ring. Oh, what up, Dylan? How you doing, bro?
What up, broski?
So the 1996 King of the Ring, in my opinion, is one of the best King of the Rings of all time.
With everything that happened surrounding the 96 King of the Ring, it shouldn't have been as good as it was. But thank God for Stone Cold Steve Austin thinking on his goddamn feet.
Well, not only that, too, if you look back in the history of wrestling, the 96 King of the Ring, the next guy to be in the push and be put up on that pedestal, originally Triple H was supposed to win this tournament.
Yeah, I was going to ask if B-Roll knew about that. That Triple H got his push taken away from him.
And it was because of the curtain call.
Yeah.
Because of the stuff that had the garden. So they had to punish Triple H, and thus... But it's crazy to think the trajectory. If that doesn't happen, we don't get the greatest and most successful wrestler of all time. Because this is the launching point for Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is it's just crazy to think. So now, interestingly, they kind of changed up the tournament a little bit this year because they went from an eight men competing to 4. They had qualifying matches all throughout on Monday Night Raw and WWF Superstars and WWF.
Kind of like it has been in recent years.
Yes, yeah, and he really did change the game. But this tournament, so you get your final 4 in this tournament. It's great. So your final 4, your opening matchup, you have Stone Cold Steve Austin against the Wild Man Mark Merrow. And they had a tremendous matchup. I always thought when Merrow and Austin got in the ring, it was great, man. They always had great chemistry. Even back in WCW days, you got Stunning Steve against Johnny B. Bad. Those were awesome matches too. So
phenomenal over the TV title.
Oh yeah, dude. Great matchups. Now Steve Austin would win and defeat Mark Merrow, but in doing so, he actually would get injured in the matchup legitimately, as he would get his lip busted open. So he had to run. They had to run him to the hospital, and he had to get stitches. Now, while that's happening, you get Jake the Snake Roberts defeating Big Fan Vader in the other semifinal. Of course, Vader would ultimately get disqualified for pretty much beating the shit out of Jake. Too many Vader bombs, man. You got to stop. And thus, we get a final of Jake the Snake against Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, as the legend and the story goes, Stone Cold Steve Austin gets back into the arena, and he's talking to Michael Hayes about, like, okay, what's happened? You know, okay, Jake's in the finals. What was his promo? This is what Jake said. And at the time, Jake the Snake was doing like his religious gimmick, like, I'm back, the power of Christ compels you.
Irony and hypocrisy of Jake the Snake Roberts is just so phenomenal.
So Austin, of course, goes on to defeat Jake the Snake Roberts and thus become King of the Ring. And then it's the moment. It's one of those moments in time that you just like lives rent free in your head if you're a pro wrestling fan. Stone Cold gets on top of that pedestal with Michael Hayes talking to him, and it's that promo. You know, talk about your Psalms, talk about your John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, "I just whipped your ass," and the rest they say is history, man. Just crazy. It's crazy to think. And 96 was an interesting time too, because it's really kind of the seeds are sprinkled for the beginning of the Attitude Era, because it's just like it's starting to kind of like, okay, this is a more edgier product than what we're used to seeing.
You have like that. The Attitude Era hasn't really started, because that doesn't really start until 97, but it's a little bit more edgier, but they still have some gimmicks that are a little cartoonish.
Yes. Yep.
So it's a very interesting time in the WWF in 96.
Yeah, it really is. And like I say, this show is loaded too. It's got some tremendous matchups. You do have the one I want to talk about that I love on this show is for the first time on pay-per-view, a one-on-one encounter between The Undertaker and Mankind.
Phenomenal.
Which is just really kind of starting their rivalry. And this is the thing, back in the day, dude, like, this is crazy. Like, Mankind beat Undertaker clean on this show.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I agree. I would love to go back to those days too, my friend. And you can go back to those days on Peacock by watching replays of all the stuff we're talking about here. And Peacock don't pay us shit. but they should. But yeah, man, like that matchup alone is like one of my favorites. I love it, and it's a great matchup too, man. It's solid back and forth, and it kicks off this amazing rivalry between Mankind and the Undertaker that would take place all of 1996, essentially.
Yeah.
You also get a matchup on there with
that rivalry took like 3 years.
yeah, when you think about it. And then you get a matchup for the tag team titles as the Goblins went against the Smoking Guns, who have been feuding like all that summer. Which I hold a special place in my heart for the Goblins, man. I like the Goblins as a kid growing up, like Henry O and Phineas, and then the whole Phineas is being obsessed with Sonny. But thank God for Phineas that didn't work out because your wife would be doing time in prison for killing somebody. Aw, fuck Tammy Sitch.
Just a bunch of
Yeah.
The BSK.
Yeah.
The BSK was all over this pay-per-view.
Yeah, they really were. Now, there's one shitty matchup on this show, which people tend to forget about, and it's okay. You should forget about it. Weird one, too. Jerry the King Lawler against the Ultimate Warrior. Yes.
Yeah.
Weird.
This was Ultimate Warrior's weird-ass comeback to the company, and he just kept on doing shit to piss people off. And why the hell is there a peacock logo on the screen? Has that been there the whole time?
No, he changed the logo.
Oh, I was so confused there for a second.
So now we're plugging Peacock. So
we
need that. We need that monetization, baby. Let's get that. Let's get that Skrilla.
I looked at the corner of my eye and just saw Peacock in the corner. I got very confused.
Bro, we'll promote the shit out of anything if you pay us. We're just saying.
Or even if you don't. I mean.
Yeah, because we're
preferably do.
So, you remember the lead up to this rivalry with Ultimate Warrior, where they do the in-ring interview or promos against each other, and Ultimate Warrior comes in that hat?
Yes. Full gear, face paint, and a fucking baseball cap. What's going on here?
Vince and Jerry are so confused.
Like, yeah, Jerry was just like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, what? Like, what are we doing here? And just like, and then you get like, he goes offhand, and he's cutting his promo like destrosity and the stars align up, and Jerry Lawler at the King of the Ring, I'm going to kick your ass. He goes from like rambling to, oh my God, now he's like menacing. He wants to commit like an act of violence against Jerry Lawler.
Between this and that weird ass rivalry with Triple H at Mania, the same
year. Yeah. And 96 was a weird year when the Warrior was involved. But the one I want to really talk about on this show, though, that to me doesn't get nearly enough love, the main event. I love this matchup. It's the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith challenging Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship.
Yes.
I think they had a great rivalry. I love the story with Diana and stuff. I thought that was awesome. Davey Boy and Shawn always had phenomenal chemistry together. And those guys should have worked together a lot more than they did. But dude, this match is solid. And the build up too from the pay-per-view the month before at the In Your House show. What was it? Beware of Dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Beware of Dog.
The power went out and then they came back on for the main event.
Yeah.
But that was a fun rivalry that summer. But I think, me personally, from bell to bell, I think 96 King of the Ring is like one of the better pay-per-views of all time as far as the King of the Ring is concerned.
Yeah.
Well, we fast forward a year later to 97, and now we get to like what was supposed to happen in 96, essentially, with the King of the Ring tournament, as we have one Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Triple H is taking his rightful place to the throne. The tournament itself, the final is really interesting. So, first off, once again, we're going back to where we've got 4 people competing in the tournament on the show with a bunch of other single and tag matches, which a lot of the matches on this show are kind of throwaway outside the tournament, I'd say, mainly the finals. So, but you have Triple H defeats Ahmed Johnson to advance to the finals, and then you have Mankind defeat Jerry the King Lawler. Interesting enough, the King finally in a King of the Ring tournament, but he would defeat him to advance into the finals. And B-roll, the thing is, you got to keep it in mind at the time, like Mankind was still like really a heel, but like they were transitioning him into a babyface role. And so you have this really interesting dynamic matchup. And of course, as we all know, Hunter and Foley had some of the best matchups, man. And this is really kind of what like started their first rivalry is this matchup, this final matchup, which they just Hunter and China just beat the shit out of like Mankind essentially. And thus now you have Triple H is the king of the ring. So which you could arguably say that's probably like the two greatest back-to-back winners of all time in King of the Ring history.
Oh yes.
Now the rest of the card, it's like I say, it's not that spectacular. A matter of fact, there's some matches like there was a 6-man match on there, I think, with like the Hart Foundation against like Sid and LOD. I think
Yeah,
was on
Psycho
there.
Sid and LOD. They just turned Sid babyface.
Yeah,
Did that work?
Not yeah. I think
Sid
they
is-
had Crush
Sid is
against
big-
Goldust was on this show, I think.
Yes.
And then like the big two on it, the bigger matches, I'd say they had Shawn Michaels against Stone Cold Steve Austin for the first time, and at the time they were the tag champs.
Yeah, but the Crush we get in this matchup is my favorite Crush.
Oh, Nation of Domination Crush.
It's Nation of Domination,
Yeah.
straight out of jail Crush.
Yeah.
With the road, like the road rash on the denim suit.
Yeah. I
He's
gotta
got
give
the
you.
dreads, and he's managed by Clarence Mason.
Yes. Yeah. I gotta give you that. So.
'Cause it makes no sense.
And then your main event, you got the Undertaker defending the WWF Championship against Farouk, leader of the Nation of Domination. So yeah, that happened. Now 98 King of the Ring tournament, not so much memorable for the tournament, but pretty memorable for one fucking moment. But let's talk about the tournament first of all. So in 98, once again we've got the Final Four format here on the pay-per-view. So in the first matchup, you have Ken Shamrock defeating Jeff Jarrett to advance to the finals. And then you have Dan Severn getting beat by The Rock, which I was pulling for Dan Severn because I was like, fuck, I want a Dan Severn Ken Shamrock final, dude. That'll be dope.
Oh, it would have been so phenomenal, especially with the UFC history.
Oh yeah, dude. That would have been amazing. So nonetheless, that did not happen, but we do get The Rock against Ken Shamrock. And of course, Rock and Ken Shamrock had an amazing rivalry at the time too. So
over that IC title.
Over that IC championship. Of course, Ken Shamrock would go on to defeat The Rock and would be the king of the ring that year in 98, which I think is kind of weird looking back because it's like Ken Shamrock's probably the least talked about king of the ring, I would say.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
That happened.
Yeah, he's not
a bad king of the ring.
And it's not a bad king of the ring. It's just like, okay, Shamrock won it and cool. Yeah. Good for him.
And I think it has to do with just the height of like his popularity at the time.
Yeah.
Because like you have the world's most dangerous man. He had just came to the WWF from the UFC. Like he was hopping back and forth between the two companies, which I've always said this was the first time those two companies worked together. Like Vince and UFC people probably won't admit that, but I have conspiracy theories of my own.
You're not wrong, bro. But of course, I think the other reason people don't talk about it is because, well,
The Rock became The Rock.
Well, not only that, I think because of this show it happens on, because you have arguably maybe the craziest moment that ever happened during the Attitude Era. You have the infamous Hell in a Cell match with the Undertaker and Mankind on this pay-per-view. Yeah,
I forgot this was the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. I forgot it happened on a King of the Ring.
Yeah. And the funny thing is the build, I remember this as a kid, and the build up to it wasn't shit, man. It was just kind of like, okay, it's gonna happen. We're gonna have Undertaker against Mankind at a Hell in a Cell. They weren't really like truly like in a bitter rivalry too, which is weird. They'd already had the past. It was just kind of like one of those things. Okay, what are we gonna do to top it? And of course, the great Mick Foley gets the idea. You know what? I'm gonna climb that. And I mean, the rest we know is history. You get the most infamous moment in the Attitude Era, hell, probably in the WWF's history. Just a superhuman Mick Foley. The classic call, like, Good God, they've killed him. They've killed him. Stop the damn match. Stop the damn
What?
match.
But you forgot two of the greatest tag team matches of all time. Too Much versus Al Snow and Head. As Jerry the Og is the guest referee.
And how did Too Cool win that matchup?
Jerry's a dick.
But do you remember the finish of it though?
Didn't someone pin Head?
Not only that, they pinned Head, but they put a bottle of Head and Shoulders underneath him, thus saying that's his shoulders.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that happened.
And then you have the new Midnight Express, Bodacious
Bob, or Bodacious Bart and Bombastic Bob.
Yeah, Bob Holly's second gimmick. Poor Bob Holly versus the New Age Outlaws.
But also on this one too, you get a definitive moment for Kane as Kane wins his first ever WWF title by defeating Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event. Now I will say this. The Hardy Boys, which Hardy Boys is going to be involved here in these next couple King of the Rings we're going to talk about. Of course, Kane would, like I say, he dropped the title the next night, but still,
I loved that match though, because if Kane had lost that match,
had set himself on fire, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the gimmick?
That's a wild thing.
Yeah, it was the Attitude Era. What can we say? So, well, let's fast forward a year later here, and let's talk about the 1999 King of the Ring. And this is another King of the Ring with the winner. I think they had the best of intentions, but it just didn't quite work out well. And I think that's because the Great One kind of killed the winner of this tournament right off the bat. Now, first of all, we go back to the 8-man format. So now we have 4 matches to kick off the first round. So to kick it off, you have Billy Gunn, Mr. Ass defeat Ken Shamrock. And then in a battle of big men, Kane defeats the Big Show. And then you have X-Pac defeat Hardcore Holly. And then the Road Dogg would defeat China, as China would become the first woman to ever compete in the King of the Ring tournament.
No, China beat Venus in that first round.
Well, that's like the qualifier.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, we're talking like on the pay-per-view. Yeah,
Oh,
but yeah, because they did qualifiers on TV too.
Yeah.
So I guess you could call it the first round, second round. You know.
Yeah, I was just reading Wikipedia.
And don't forget, you could always Wikipedia that shit. It's been a minute since I've done that. So then you have Billy Gunn defeat Kane in the semifinals, and then X-Pac defeats the Road Dogg in the Battle of DX, and then in the finals, you do have badass Billy Gunn defeat X-Pac, and Mr. Ass becomes King of the Ring.
Yeah,
on paper, made sense at the time because it's like, okay, we're gonna push Billy Gunn as like one of the next top guys or whatever. And I truly believe like just that Rock promo just killed him.
Yeah.
It's funny. It was funny in hindsight, but it just fucking like there was Mr. Ass. It was just like, okay. It's like, dear God. What was he said? Dear God, like, listen, Bob. He's like, my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Yeah.
Such good shit. Poor Mr. Ass. So, and then of course they had that Kiss My Ass match at SummerSlam that year. Yikes. But
Billy,
I mean,
Billy deserved more.
He did deserve more, and I think he should have got much more of a launching point on this show. But this is a really good example of like height of the Attitude Era. We mentioned the Hardy Boys. Hardy Boys had a fun matchup against Edge and Christian on this show, and this, of course, is when Edge and Christian are part of the Brood. And I think, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong on this. This is probably the Hardy Boys' first pay-per-view match is on this show.
I think so.
I think it is.
They had just debuted.
Yeah. The Undertaker would defeat The Rock to retain his WWF Championship on this show. And in the main event, we got to see Stone Cold Steve Austin against Vince and Shane McMahon in a ladder match to determine the not owners, what was it? The president of the WWF or something, like control of the WWF or something.
Yes.
It was something convoluted.
For full control of the WWF.
Yeah. Which actually for a handicap ladder match, it's not that bad. Like, believe it or not, it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not a bad matchup.
Yeah, and then there's a few other like interesting matchups on this card because you got the corporate ministry, Midian and Viscera facing Big Boss Man in a handicap match.
Oh yeah, I don't even remember that. Was that on Heat or something?
No, that's like legit on the pay per view. Then you
okay.
had Prince Albert with Draws in his corner. Face beat Valvinus.
Okay, I'll be a damn. I did not know that. Well,
do you know what the dark match of this card was?
No, what was it?
Remember when Sean Stasiak early in his career was called Meat?
Meat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Him versus Kurt Angle.
Meat and Kurt Angle. Okay, interesting. Speaking, that perfect segue, Michael. Let's talk about the 2000 King of the Ring. And once again, we go in the 8-man format. 2000 King of the Ring's good, and you definitely get a guy who wins it who really kind of runs along the line of, okay, this is going to be the next big guy. Because, yes, Kurt Angle would win the 2000 King of the Ring tournament. Had a hell of a run, too, man. So when you get to the actual pay-per-view, and interesting enough, too, this was like a field of 32 wrestlers as they had a ton of qualifying matches on TV.
Yeah.
So you got Kurt Angle. Now, this is on the pay-per-view, mind you. So in the first round, Kurt Angle goes up against Chris Jericho and defeats one Chris Jericho to advance. Interestingly enough, you had a little bit of an underdog story kind of going on in this tournament as the man who weighed 500 plus pounds, Crash Holly, would go on to defeat Bull Buchanan, which I love Bull Buchanan too. That's a guy I don't think
Bull Buchanan just started his own wrestling company.
I saw that. Yeah. That's which I would definitely check that out. So you get Crash Holly defeating Bull Buchanan to advance. Then you have Foul Phoenix defeat Eddie Guerrero to advance to the next round. And then Rikishi defeats Chris Benoit by disqualification. I remember this too because like Benoit beat the holy hell out of Rikishi with like a chair. He just beat the fuck out of him relentlessly. And of course, in the semifinals, we got Kurt Angle defeating Crash Holly. And then you have Rikishi defeating Foul Phoenix. And you get a final of Rikishi against Kurt Angle. And of course, the Olympic gold medalist would go on to win the King of the Ring tournament in 2000. Like I say, I thought the tournament this year was in 2000 was really fun. You had some other fun matches on this card too. You had I'm saving the best for last, brother, and you know what that is.
Yeah.
They had there was a fatal 4-way tag match for the tag titles with Edge and Christian winning the tag team championships. From the champions at the time was Too Cool, believe it or not, Grandmaster Sexay and Scotty 2 Hotty. Also involved in that matchup was TNA. No, I'm not talking about TNA wrestling. I'm talking about Test and Albert. And the Hardy Boys. Yeah, TNA was a great tag team. Yeah, I wish they would have got more work. And then in the main event, you had a 6-man tag team match, believe it or not, for the WWF Championship, as The Rock and Kane and Undertaker would take on champion Triple H along with Triple H or with Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon. And The Rock would actually, I think he pinned Vince or Shane. He pinned one of them. And The Rock became the WWF champion.
Yeah, he pinned Vince. Yeah. And then we had the handicap tables match.
Oh yeah, that was great too. There was a handicap tables match
versus the Dudleys.
The Dudleys, yep. And DX consisted of the Road Dogg, X-Pac, and Tori.
Yeah.
But as great as all that was, and we talked to Hell in a Cell. Honestly, this matchup is probably the greatest matchup in King of the Ring history. Let's talk about it. For the Hardcore Championship, it was Pat Patterson against Gerald Briscoe in an evening gown match. What the fuck?
And the best part about this is neither of them win. Because
fucking Crash Holly comes in and did the 24/7 rule and gets the fucking belt. It's like, really?
I fucking love Crash Holly.
Yeah, dude. Just
Michael Lockwood was a phenomenal talent.
B-roll, seriously, do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor tonight after the Pacer games, after the Pacers successfully defeat the Celtics. Go back, watch on Peacock 2000 King of the Ring, and just watch evening gal match between Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson.
It
Just
is.
do it.
It's.
I feel like
it
y'all.
is
I feel like y'all are
entertainment
making this
genius.
up.
Dude,
No,
it's for real. This really
no,
happened.
This is actually a thing that happened.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
Tom,
it's
this
fucking
is
amazing.
it's peak entertainment and peak attitude.
Yeah.
Vince is a goddamn genius. In this time, he was horrible human being, but goddamn, was this phenomenal.
Yep. So now let's talk about the 2001 King of the Ring, where the build up on this was Kurt Angle looking to repeat as King of the Ring winner. But he also had a pretty busy night as he would have a very legendary matchup, which we'll talk about here in a couple minutes. But in the tournament itself, now this we go back to 4 matches on the pay-per-view. And in the quarterfinals, we get Kurt Angle defeating Christian to advance to the finals, and then Edge defeats Rhino to
Edge
advance to
versus
the finals.
Rhino is my favorite matchup this card.
In the tournament or the whole card?
The tournament.
Okay, yeah, it's a good one. And then in the finals, you get Kurt Angle gets defeated by Edge, and thus Edge would become King of the Ring. And you got to keep in mind, B-roll, at the time, this is Edge at the height of like Edge and Christian, that tag team and stuff.
Edge
And-
had just split.
Yeah.
No,
They were
about
still
to
together,
split.
but they were in the. This
Yeah.
planted the
This-
seeds for it. Yeah, for
Christian
sure.
turns on him the next night, hits him with the trophy.
And then you would have that rivalry go off. But
When they were brothers.
yeah, they were brothers.
I love that the WWF just throws that away.
Yeah. But to me, I mean, this is a great card too, by the way, but there's
is.
2 matches that stick out. It's the last 2. So Kurt Angle would compete 3 times this night, and that third match was a doozy. It's the
That's-
legendary street fight match between Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon. B-roll, have you? I can't remember. Have we watched that one yet? Have you ever seen that match? I feel like you have, because I
I was
think that
about
was
to
on the list
say-
of like.
Is that where he throws?
He throws him through the glass.
Is that
and
where
it-
he throws him last?
multiple times?
It
Yeah,
doesn't
it's-
break the first time, so he has
Yeah.
to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
That-
Shane almost
Yeah,
dies.
Dude, that
Yeah,
match is
I've
fucking
seen it.
sick. It's amazing.
Because it was supposed to be breakaway glass, and they find
Yeah.
out afterwards, no, that was real. Shane, you're lucky.
And this is really kind of when we're first starting the invasion storyline, which you know, it
I
had
love
its,
certain parts of the
it-
invasion.
it
There's
had
certain
its
parts-
moments. It had its moments. Peak heel Austin, chicken shit heel Austin, I think was good. Didn't get nearly enough credit.
You get jackass Chris Jericho just ragging on Stephanie McMahon the whole
Yep.
time.
Speaking of Chris Jericho, that's the other match I want to talk about. This main event, this tremendous main event, a triple threat match for the WWF Championship as Stone Cold Steve Austin defends against Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit, which is it's an amazing matchup, dude. This
Yes.
matchup is the shit. Almost goes a half hour too. Now, the big story coming out of this was Booker T attacks Stone Cold Steve Austin and
Yeah.
kind of being like, okay, now the alliance is here. Let's we're gonna start that storyline. And there was a couple other matches on this show too, but I mean those right there, the King of the Ring tournament with the street fight and the triple threat for the WWF
You get-
Championship by
You
far.
get Bubba and Devon defeating Spike and Kane. I
It was
was
a weird tag
Spike
team.
and Kane was a tag team.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it was
then You get a weird match to start the show of Matt Hardy versus defeated Just Incredible for the European title.
reasons. That's why. So
Yeah.
now we fast forward to a year later, and B-roll. This would actually be the last King of the Ring tournament, at least on pay-per-view, as we have the 2002 King of the Ring tournament. Now, what was interesting at the time, this is the first real King of the Ring where the brand split has happened.
Yeah.
So now we have you've got wrestlers on the Raw side of things and wrestlers on the SmackDown side of things. So we get once again, we get only 4 matches on the show, or 4 participants, I should say, on the show, and the semifinals and the finals on the tournament or on the pay-per-view. So, and they both pit Raw and SmackDown guys against each other. Now, the first one of those, you get Brock Lesnar from Raw defeated Test. And then in the other one, you have Rob Van Dam defeat Chris Jericho. And Van Dam was a Raw guy too. So you get an all Raw final in this at this tournament. And of course, the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. This was a long, once again, he's another name you can add up there to a huge launching point for a wrestler, and it was Brock Lesnar. Now, what was interesting too, like in King of the Ring's past, it wasn't really advertised so much, but it was just kind of implied. Like if you wanted the King of the Ring, you pretty much got a WWF title shot. They did that for the most part. But this one, it was like whoever wins this is getting a title shot at SummerSlam. Yeah. Kind of like what we're doing this year with the King and Queen of the Ring.
So. Triple H is bringing it back because Triple H be cooking.
Yeah, he does. So Lesnar winning the tournament made sense. I mean, Lesnar was like literally he was the next big thing at the time. Some other matches on this show, you do get the Undertaker defending his WWE championship against Triple H. And unfortunately, no good piece of shit Hulk Hogan would make his return to a King of the Ring pay-per-view one more time as he took on Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle beat his ass.
Yeah, he did.
Right.
Yeah. You had Jimmy Noble versus the Hurricane in a very good match.
Which I thought was a fun rivalry, honestly. I really enjoyed Jamie Noble and the Hurricanes rivalry. That was a great, fun little story. Hey, there's another fun one on here, too, with Ric Flair against Eddie Guerrero.
Yes. They always have great chemistry.
Oh, yeah. Even in WCW, they had great matches, so it's cool to see that. And then, of course...
by the way, if you guys have the Ring of Honor?
I do, yeah.
2005. Watch James Gibson's matches in Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah, he killed it. Like, and he would.
How the hell he was never utilized like that in the WWE?
Yeah. And I mean, spoiler, he would end up winning the ROH championship too.
Literally, just because there's a few ROH shows on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
I just watched that pay-per-view, that show where he won the title.
Yeah, I love some James Gibson, James Noble. Oh, Brock has always been overhyped for the but you know what though? I think Brock, say what you will about whatever the current circumstances is, which we really don't know. I mean, Brock Lesnar, you can't deny it. That is a scary ass man when he gets in the ring. And I honestly enjoyed Brock's last run here, where he's this like baby face and this weird kind of he just looks like he's having fun,
Oh yeah, he was just enjoying himself because he lives in Canada now and he just barbecues.
He's a fucking Viking, and he's happy in his natural habitat. So,
and he kills wild boars and
there you go. So now we pretty much go to at this point, the King of the Ring's done and over with. We stopped doing the pay-per-views. Now, B-roll. Over the next 10 to 15 years, the King of the Ring tournament would pop up sporadically. The first time it did, though, I do think it was very important because of the person who won it and how they just took off with this new character, this new persona. And of course, I'm talking about one King Booker. Yes. So they would bring the King of the Ring tournament back in 2006. As an all-exclusive tournament to SmackDown. Now, so you would have these matchups on SmackDown, and the final would actually take place at the Judgment Day pay-per-view that year.
Against Bobby Lashley.
Yep. The finals was Bobby Lashley against
rookie Bobby Lashley. This dude had not even been in the company maybe a year.
And it's crazy, too, because it's like Bobby Lashley hasn't aged a day, dude.
No, he hasn't.
It's like, what? I mean, this is a pretty solid tournament too. You look at other guys in it. You have Mark Henry, Chris Benoit, Fit Finlay, Kurt Angle, Randy Orton, Matt Hardy, just to name a few. But yes, the final would be Booker T against Bobby Lashley.
What Booker did with this King of the Ring win, with the King Booker gimmick, and the faction around him. King's Court was
the King's Court. That's an underrated one too, man.
I love the King's Court. You have Queen Charmel, and then you have his royal subjects and Fit Finlay and William Regal. just doing his dirty work
Yeah.
is just phenomenal.
Yeah. It was
Is
so
it-
enjoyable. And he made it
Is
work
it-
so good.
Is it the best one that that someone that took it as the gimmick? Is it the best one?
That's a great question.
It's one of the best. It's up there. Because with Booker, he over exaggerated everything because he had the English accent. He's from Houston. Like there was no need to him pronounce these words this way.
Honestly, in my opinion, I think he was. I think he did the best job with it. I mean, there's some greats like the Macho Man. But
he's the best in this modern era.
Yeah. But I would safely say, as far as winning the tournament, I think so. I think King Booker is probably the best, like, to take it and develop this new character that was just. I mean, it gave Booker T like new life.
Forget that this King Booker thing came from the King of the Ring win. It was just like, oh, he's got a new gimmick. Yeah. Like you forget it has to do with him winning King of the Ring. Just like, oh no, he's just a king now.
Yeah. He's King Booker.
Yeah, that was the best part. So he takes the ER for RF name, and it's like 2 A's and an H with a Booker. It's just phenomenal. Booker.
Yeah. Now it's weird too, man, because like we don't. So that happens, and then nothing, and then just randomly in 2008, like let's bring it back for one night on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. Now what they did is a one-night tournament, and they combined wrestlers from Raw, SmackDown, and ECW at the time to compete in this 8-man tournament.
I forgot this happened.
Yeah, and this is
forgot this happened.
This is probably, we talked earlier about Shamrock. Honestly, this tournament and this winner is probably the least forgotten about King of the Ring, which is a shame too, because he's a fucking amazing wrestler.
Yeah. And it's just William Regal won a King of the Ring would not have.
Yeah, you would never guessed it, but yes, William Regal is a King of the Ring. He won this 2008 King of the Ring tournament. Now, at the time, William Regal was the general manager of Monday Night Raw, so he kind of enforced so in the first round, pretty much it kicks off. It's William Regal against Hornswoggle in the first round, so obviously he wins that matchup.
By the way, I forgot he GM'd Raw.
Yeah. I'm right. Here's another thing too. Do you realize and remember Layla was his manager at the time too?
Yeah.
From Lakewood? Yeah. Just complete
2008 WWE that I just legit just pushed out of my brain.
Understandable. It's like a fever dream, dude. So
I think this is around time they had that horrible Mike Adamle guy on screen that was mispronouncing words.
From American Gladiators. Yeah, we don't talk about him. He doesn't exist. Anyways, he would go on to, so in the finals you would have William Regal go up against CM Punk, and William Regal would of course defeat him and become your 2008 King of the Ring. And it would kind of be like at the time too, it kind of launched Regal into kind of back to okay, we're going to utilize him more, because he would go on to win the Intercontinental title from this as well.
Yeah. Yes. I remember that part. I just don't remember the tournament part. I remember him using the gimmick.
Yeah.
Because he would use the whole King of the Ring GM thing as a way to control Raw.
Yeah.
You would use it to get title matches and whatnot.
Yep. So once again, we wait another couple years before we bring the tournament back again. And once again, we're doing it as a one-night thing on Monday Night Raw. So in 2010, we get the next rendition of the King of the Ring tournament, and our next King of the Ring tournament winner would be Sheamus. Would win the King of the Ring, as he would defeat John Morrison in the finals of this tournament. And he, now here's the thing: Sheamus afterwards tried to turn this into his gimmick as King Sheamus.
It didn't work.
Fucking didn't work. It was the drizzling shit. It was weird. His fucking crown was like antlers or something. It was like, I don't know what the fuck was going on here.
Yeah.
They're trying to make him like a traditional Celtic king or something. I think Vince McMahon watched Braveheart one night or something. Was like, you know what? Let's fucking do that. That'll be good shit, pal. We'll make Sheamus the king and we'll turn him into William Wallace.
Which is funny since William's Scottish.
Right? Yeah, yeah. It's just like, wait a minute now, hold on. But King of the Ring 2010, it happened, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I say, this is a weird time for the tournament because they just bring it back sporadically. So then, then we
Because
wait
this is
another
a 5-year period.
5 years, and then they bring it back as like an exclusive, like special on the WWE Network as we do the 2015 King of the Ring. And I remember this too. So they had the quarterfinal matchups on Monday Night Raw, and then the very next night they have the semifinals and finals matchups live on the WWE Network. So on a Tuesday night, they had a King of the Ring mini special. So
I've never talked to my parents and let me watch this on the WWE Network because it was a school night.
like, come
Or
on,
no.
I gotta watch.
It was a Tuesday night. I wasn't in school. It was 2015. I already graduated. But I remember like, hey, I'm gonna skip dinner and I'm gonna watch this show.
Yeah.
And I remember Bad News. Fucking great gimmick.
Yeah. So here we have in the semifinals, Bad News Barrett defeats R-Truth, and then Neville beats Sheamus. Now, B-roll, I don't know if that name rings a bell for you, but we're talking about the bastard himself, Pac. So,
Yep.
So Neville and Bad News Barrett meet in the finals, and Bad News Barrett would have some bad news for Neville as he would defeat him and become the King of the Ring. And he's another one of those guys that tried to turn it into like a gimmick with the King Bad News, and he had the whole, the robe and the crown, and it was just kind of like, it didn't work.
Well, sadly, at this point, I don't think anyone was taking him seriously.
No. And that's the thing. This time frame is weird because these King of the Rings that just pop up sporadically, like nobody's really taking them serious.
No, and they're giving them to wrestlers who are already, no offense, dead in the water.
Really, they really are. And then let's fast forward now a couple years later to 2019, where we get the King of the Ring tournament brought back on Raw and SmackDown. And then ultimately, this is where we would get King Corbin. I fucking hated King Corbin.
This was my least favorite
fucking shit gimmick. No disrespect to Baron Corbin. I mean, I like Baron Corbin, but I hated this. This was like the worst fucking gimmick he ever had, I thought. Fucking hated it. So you have in the finals here, it was Baron Corbin against Chad Gable. Now, I can't remember, I'm trying to think, was this Shorty G, Chad Gable, I think, against Baron Corbin? I feel like
they were trying to do the him being a 1, 2, 3 kid underdog.
Fuck you, Vince. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Now we have Master Gable, thank God. But Jesus, this at the time, yeah. 2019 King of the Ring sucked. That's all there is to it. So now we get to last year, we get to 2021.
Yeah, because they didn't do it last year.
Because now we do it at the finals. We do at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia. Yay! Cool for who win it and stuff, but I just felt very underwhelmed. I felt like it's like, okay, we need to give the third member of the New Day something, so we would get Xavier Woods would win the King of the Ring tournament, and we would get King Woods. I don't know. I love the New Day and stuff, but maybe this is a hot take, but I feel like at this point it's just like the New Day had really kind of run its course. And
definitely. No, that is it's not a hot take here. I have thought the New Day should be broken a long time ago. I like what they're doing with Karrion Kross and them right now, teasing a little heel turn or
needs to happen.
Or
they need to turn him
or something. Karrion Kross is,
so if you look at the final, if you look at the finals of this from Crown Jewel, it was Xavier Woods did defeat one Finn Balor. Now, also at this at Crown Jewel, they introduced the Queen of the Ring. So there's only been, believe it or not, B-roll, there's only been one Queen of the Ring tournament. And in the tournament final, you got to see Selena Vega.
I fucking love you, B-roll. Did you really just put that in there?
Okay. All right. So huge update. Oh, it's a close one. It's a nail biter. 27-25. Pacers are up by 2.
I love that that just happened.
Thank you for the update because I'm dying. Huge
XLJ, don't even act like you don't have it up on the TV in front of you. I know you do. I see you glancing up.
Yeah,
I see it.
It's our boys in blue at the playoffs, man. Like for Eastern Conference Final, first time in over 10 years. You know I'm gonna watch that shit. Yeah, but we thank everybody for joining us here
only
tonight.
have the I at least only have the score up. I have the
Yeah.
score.
Yeah, it's a close one, just like game one. So we got to get that game two victory. Now, anyways, so the Queen of the Ring tournament,
Queen Selena.
We get Queen Selena as she would defeat Piper Niven in the final matchup. And I'm not going to call her Dewdrop, even though that's what we were calling her then. It was Piper Niven, damn it.
Yeah.
So, and there you go, B-roll. That is pretty much the history of the King of the Ring tournament. I find it fascinating. I think it's great we look back on it because obviously there was some great years they did this. But if you think about it for like over the past 15 years, it's been the drizzling shit. But this year truly feels like it means something. It's been an enjoyable tournament, I think.
Yes.
Some tremendous matchups. Yeah. So we kind of segues into as we're getting down to the end of the show here tonight. Let's talk about a little bit of some predictions. So we know on the Raw side who's going to be in it. So on the men's side, we know Gunther has advanced to the finals, and he will wait to meet the winner from Friday Night SmackDown between Randy Orton and Tama Tonga. I think it's Orton, and I am like, holy shit, we're getting Randy Orton against Gunther. That's like something I didn't think about.
I was gonna say Tama Tonga until they made that announcement this morning.
Oh, with getting a title shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I don't think they're gonna put Tama Tonga in a way where he can get a title shot right away.
Yeah.
So Randy Orton, because I think we could get Randy Orton versus Cody.
Now that's fascinating. I did not think about that. And I'm glad you brought that up because I really am just like so pro Gunther. I just see Gunther winning it. But if you think about it from a storyline perspective, it makes more sense if Randy wins it and gets a shot against Cody. Because that's going to be.
Is Randy on SmackDown? I'm questioning myself.
He is.
Okay.
No, he is.
Okay. I had to question myself there for a second.
No. So, because if Gunther wins, that means we're getting Gunther and Priest, which isn't bad, but it's not as compelling. I think that's just mainly your buildup is like, okay, this is Gunther's crowning moment. So
yeah.
Also, too, Randy Orton never won the King of the Ring, so that could be another accolade he can hang his hat on, so to speak. So it presents for a very interesting final. I still think Gunther's going to win it because I kind of feel like this is Triple H's reward, just like in '93. Like we're going to reward you, Bret Hart, with winning the King of the Ring tournament. I kind of feel the same way here too. And our good friend, oh my gosh, who was it? I saw a TikTok on it. Oh damn it, I can't think of it. I apologize. I forget I can picture his face, but I can't picture his name. Anyways, put out an interesting TikTok of how, like Bret, Gunther, if you look at each of the matches he's competed so far in this tournament, he's won each of the matches differently and not with his finish.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, okay.
So I wouldn't be mad at Gunther getting a world title shot in Cleveland.
No, I wouldn't either. I think it'd be awesome, and it's going to be even doper for us because we're going to be there in person, aren't we, B-roll?
You see, what concerns me is who's going to be the champion going into SummerSlam.
As far as like Cody, or you mean as like on the Raw? I'm assuming you're talking on the Raw side.
No, I'm talking about Cody.
Well, you don't think Cody will be the champion still?
What concerns and hurts me is they're going into Cleveland.
Yeah.
Logan's hometown.
Well, you know what? I was all on that bandwagon. I thought that's what was going to happen, but the fact that we're getting Logan and Cody at King and Queen of the Ring, I don't see them doing again in Cleveland. I think they're going to go in the direction with.
I would not be shocked if Saudi Arabia pulls some bullshit like, "Hey, we want Logan to win," and then have Logan go into Cleveland.
They're not that. No. If that happens, I'm going to be shocked, but I don't think they're that fucking stupid. Yeah. I think Rock would be coming in and calling an audible on that shit. Yeah. I can't see it happening.
Logan it concerns me of Logan going into Cleveland as a champion.
Here's the thing, though, because the fact that they took out the stipulation that the U.S. title is not on the line, that tells me that Cody's without a doubt winning this matchup. Yeah, I can't see it going any other way. I would be, if that happened, I would be more shocked than when Jinder Mahal won the WWE Championship. I can't see it. I can't see it, bro.
That's hilarious.
But we're talking wrestling, and I mean, anything can happen in the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah,
so
maybe
now,
that's just me having so much doubt in WWE writing for the last 20 years.
yeah, bro, you gotta let Papa H is doing a good job. Let the man cook. Let him cook. Now let's kind of talk about on the woman's side of things, because on this past Monday night we got a huge upset.
So
I did
good.
not see Lia Valkyrie advancing to the finals, but I absolutely love that happened.
Hey, I did. I said it on
Yeah.
PW60.
So we now have Lia Valkyrie in the finals, and she will go up against the winner on the SmackDown side of things, which either will be Bianca Belair or Nia Jax. So who you guys, first off, who you think's winning on SmackDown? Is it gonna be Nia or Bianca?
I actually have an upset of Nia Jax.
I have a sneaking suspicion it's gonna be Nia too. I think you're right. But I think this is what we're going to get out of this. I think we're going to get this huge, massive. I think the role is going to continue. I think Lia Valkyrie is going to win the whole damn thing now. And I think when you think about it, what was presented today, it's going to be all the more interesting, because that presents, we have a student versus teacher kind of rematch, so to speak, as we have Lia Valkyrie going up against Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. Of course, a lot of people think Liv Morgan's going to defeat Becky Lynch this Saturday at King and Queen of the Ring.
I think that.
Here's the thing, Michael. I would think that, but Triple H loves that long-term storytelling and book him, right? I think he's going to have the Liv Morgan revenge tour go on a little bit longer, and she's just going to become like psychotic until the end, until like she finally wins the championship. I think they're going to build that up a little bit longer, in my opinion. And I think they're going to build to this Lia Valkyrie, Becky Lynch matchup at SummerSlam.
I think that, I don't know, for some reason I just.
But you can flip it. Flip it, and it makes perfect sense on the other side of things. If you have Bianca Belair in the finals and Bianca wins the tournament, then what happens there? We get Bianca and Bayley, and they've been telling that story for the past several months on SmackDown.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
So that makes sense too.
See, now I don't know who to.
See,
I know, right? I know.
I feel like it's Nia for some reason.
I wins the whole thing. So then you get Nia and Bayley at SummerSlam, which, I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting to see. I think, let me put it to you this way. If Nia wins on SmackDown, I think Lia Valkyrie wins the tournament. Yeah. However, if Bianca Belair wins, I think Bianca wins it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, the thing is with the women's tournament, with the Queen of the Ring, it's like, it could go any way, man. It's a who's who. Like, pick them and, see what happens. But
yeah.
But the one thing I want to say here as we kind of closing up things here tonight is, like, with the legacy of the King of the Ring tournament, I always loved this as a kid, and it's great to see it come back. And now it's like it means something again. And I hope this like trajectory continues like year in, year out. I think it's smart too, because it's like it's been what's ate up a good chunk of WWE television over the past couple weeks.
Yes.
And it's like which is good and solid because it's great storytelling, and it's like, you still have these other main stories to go into, like your next big show, like your SummerSlam and stuff. But we don't have to focus on those right now. This King of the Ring kind of it eats up the time up until then, right? So it's been fun. It's been enjoyable, I think, the King of the Ring tournament. So, and I'm excited to see who is going to come out on top this Saturday. And hey, we've got a huge weekend in the world of pro wrestling this weekend too, because not only do you have the King and Queen of the Ring, you also have Double or Nothing Sunday night in Las Vegas. Is going to be an awesome, awesome weekend. Cannot wait.
Thank goodness.
I
Thank
got
goodness it's a
show
holiday
Saturday
weekend.
night.
And you're going to a show this weekend too, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Brand new company.
yeah, and that kind of segues here as we close out our show. Let's do one last Plug-a-Palooza, and we're going to start with you, Michael. And why don't you tell us about this show you're going to be at this weekend?
This new show, new company, Oblivion Wrestling. They're going to be in Lacey, Washington, at the Thurston County Fairgrounds, in a building called Region Hall. Again, this is their first show, and it's on my birthday.
All right, and happy early birthday to you, my friend.
It actually
Happy early birthday to you.
Are you eating a slice of pizza during Plug-a-Palooza? What the fuck?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It features a bunch of great
good,
Northwest talent and a main event of a one Northwest talent by the name of Travis Williams versus the Blackheart, Leo Rush.
Oh, that'll be good.
And if you don't know anything about Leo Rush's new gimmick as the Blackheart and this dark demon character that he's got going on now, it's phenomenal.
It's some pretty wild shit for sure. Yeah,
He debuted it here actually in the Northwest, working.
Oh,
in
really?
Portland.
Okay.
Yeah, he debuted it working a show for Prestige Wrestling in Portland.
Okay.
Again, actually, Prestige Wrestling just pronounced today. They have a huge show coming up at Portland State University's campus at the Viking Pavilion called I forgot what it's called. But one of the matches they did just announce was, again, the Blackheart Leo Rush versus Amazing Red.
Oh, that'll be dope.
Yes.
That's awesome, man.
Ethan Page is also going to be on that show card.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun show.
We're killing it here in the Northwest. People
Yeah,
need to
you guys are.
put our name.
Yeah, you can't deny.
Ego, where my ego?
But,
So, if you're out this weekend there, you better check out these shows and come say hi to Mike. For sure.
yes.
And the goal hopefully is that you're gonna get one of the wrestlers to chop you, right? You still gonna try to do that?
Yes, I have a few goals. The chop, get some stuff for maybe World Championship wreckage, interview wise.
Hell yeah.
I got a few of the Northwest talent that just recently followed me on Twitter. So I'm going to be talking to them, trying to get some stuff.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, bro. Oh. Well, tell us where else we can find you, my friend.
MJ Duplesis 1992 on the Twitter and on TikTok. And all the time on World Championship Wreckage's YouTube channel.
Yes. And don't always forget to check out Queen's Court as well. Awesome
Yes.
show that you guys get to do. So, where are you guys at currently on like the Raw timeline? Are you still like you in 95 yet?
No, we just got done finishing the King of the Ring tournament actually in 94.
Okay.
Or SummerSlam 94, the cage match.
Ah, yes, and the Undertaker.
Yes,
versus
SummerSlam
the
cage match.
Undertaker.
We are actually putting Halt on the on Queen's Court right now.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Us three kind of got busy with personal life stuff.
It happens, man. Just like
uh,
we haven't done this show in like a month, so
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
man, it happens.
But
So,
I will definitely be keeping people updated on when we get back to doing that on
Yeah.
TikTok. So see this, follow me on TikTok, MJ Duplesis 1992, and on the Twitter.
there you go. Get on the Twitter machine. So, and of course, you can see this pretty sweet shirt I got here. Little Cole TV shirt. You can actually get that over on Pro Wrestling Tees. That's right. Pro Wrestling Tees. Just search Cole TV. You can get this shirt as well.
Hold
as
up, what? You guys got
any-
yourself a Pro Wrestling Tees?
Oh yeah, bro.
I just not realizing that.
Oh,
That's
yeah, bro.
awesome.
Yeah, we're on Pro Wrestling
Yeah.
Tees. We're big time, or something like that.
And not only that, when you buy a shirt, you're help supporting us. We get part of that. And I mean, Michael,
Yeah.
there's even a PW60 shirt on
Yeah.
there. So you're
Yeah,
part of
you
our
get a
great
fire.
PW60 crew with
Yeah.
the Indie Report every week.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can get some of these some of our sweet merch over on Pro Wrestling Tees. Hell, we're a whore for just about everything. B-roll, why don't you plug the pizza that you're having tonight?
Yes, the pizza exclusively is from Swanzig's Pizza. My wife works there. Jeremy hates it.
Yeah, I never thought I'd live the day to see on this channel where we're plugging fucking Yuppie Pizza. So Mother Bears is better. Suck it, bitch. Anyways, yeah, you're like I know Michael's like out here. What the fuck is a Swanzix and a Mother Bears? But anyway,
Yeah.
it's all-
Midwesterners are weird.
Yeah. All I know is all hell is broken loose in the Pacers Boston Celtics game. I don't know what's going on. They haven't scored a point on mine since the end of the first quarter. I got 27-42 on mine. Please tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. It's not
Am I
looking
wrong?
good, but no, you're not wrong. But that's okay. We still got plenty of time to play. And lastly, of course, we want to remind you next week here on Cold TV, we have a huge week as there's our Memorial Week extravaganza. I love doing that every time. As we got a massive week lined up for you. Of course, we've got a live episode of PW60 where we're going to recap everything that happened this past week, including this massive weekend lying ahead of us with Double or Nothing and King and Queen of the Ring. You'll also be able to see a vlog where I got to be a part of the Legends of Wrestling reunion show for Jerry the King Lawler there in Evansville, Indiana. Of course, I'm joined by our good friend Jay from Jay Knows Wrestling, and it is quite the vlog. You're definitely going to want to check it out. All I'll say is a little spoiler alert, like little Ron pretty much gets kidnapped by Jamie Dundee. And yeah,
I need to talk to you about that after we get
okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's some wild shit, man. So that'll be coming to you next week. And also we've got not one, but two exclusive wrestling vlogs. One, we've got where I got to go with Jay to Hooligan Championship Wrestling, which was an all-female show. It was the Ascension to the Kingdom, was an awesome, awesome show. And then Mr. B-Roll here got to check out a local company that we are near and dear with, Emerge Wrestling. Isn't that right, B-Roll?
Yes, indeed. I got to check out a show with my nephew. Always a good time. I'll say this, and I know the gentlemen here with me are support this as well. Go out and support independent wrestling. Most
100%.
definitely.
Facts. And we may have one more surprise for you here next week on Cold TV, but as we always say, cards subject to change. So, well, that is going to wrap it up for us tonight with this episode of Learning the Ropes. I want to thank our good friend Michael for joining us, and we thank you all for joining us and watching us. I know B-Roll is chomping at the bit to watch this Pacer game, so it's going to wrap it up. Yeah. So once again,
but you know what? I am superstitious. So, like, maybe the fact that I'm not watching it is why they're losing so bad. So,
there you go. So, well, once again, we want to thank you all for joining us here tonight. And don't forget to tune in next week here on Cold TV for our massive Memorial Day week. Till next time, I'm Xlj with Mr. B-Roll, and we'll see you next week. Everybody have an amazing week and a happy Memorial Day weekend. See ya.